Oh, well, now we are.
Now we are live. Welcome to Everything Else ETE. I am the host, Marcus the Grand Finale, and I'm joined by the professor who is spinning around in circles shooting guns at people, and Jemal. How you doing, Jemal? Introduce yourself to the audience real quick.
Three faces of Jamal, you already know, host of the Mid Card Mess podcast, and also now part of Everything Else ETE with Marcus from the Untitled Manny and Marcus show. Thank you for having me. Thank you for this opportunity. Let's talk some Supercard of Honor, man.
Yeah, let's talk about this show. The show happened Friday during SmackDown and the Hall of Fame and all that weekend that was going on. So it was something that shouldn't have been probably that wasn't lost in the shuffle, but it was there. It was something that if you had time to fit into your weekend and you were able to sneak out a Supercard of Honor. And the show to me was built around the tag match between the Briscoes and FTR. And I thought that match delivered, and I thought the show delivered overall. What were your thoughts, Jamal?
So with the show, like as you said, it was at the same time that was going on with SmackDown and everything like that. I had three screens going on. I had my big screen TV, I had my other big screen TV, and I had my phone. One was the Hall of Fame, one was SmackDown, one was Supercard, which then turned into Supercard being on the big TV and then Multiverse Madness on the other TV. So I was watching I was spinning around in circles. Spinning around,
I feel like
spinning
you were in
around.
the Batcave and you were Batman, just going like, "There, all right, here we go." So with all that complications, were you able to enjoy the show with all the distractions? Were you able to enjoy Supercard of Honor with
Absolutely.
everything
So
else in the background?
So basically, like I was making sure that I paid more attention to all the other stuff other than WWE because, like, WWE is very repetitive anyway. And it was like, whatever the results was, I could catch it later.
Yeah,
I want to see what happened live. And I caught all of Ring of Honor. So I was good to go. I seen all the good matches, like, the match between Dalton Castle and Joe Hendry. That was a pretty good match. The Miranda Alize, I forgot who she fought, but she ended up losing that match. And I was kind of shocked at that. I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. And then also Tully Blanchard with his new group, which we'll discuss. I don't know what the fuck that's about, but yeah, I
yeah.
got to see everything.
Yeah. So, what would be your highlights of the show, and what are your thoughts on the show? What are your highlights?
So my highlights of the show, like I said, one of them was Tully Blanchard actually making a new group. It's called Tully Blanchard Enterprises, TBE. What got me for a loop was the people who is in it. So there's this kind of he's part of like the Samoan Dynasty group. I don't know what his name in Ring of Honor is, but he's like one of those guys. Teamed up with somebody that was in Shane Taylor Promotions in Kaun. I don't know if you're familiar with Kaun, part of like STP and everything like that. But it's Kaun, the Samoan guy, and then also Brian Cage being added to that group with Tully Blanchard as the backing of that group. So there's a new group in Ring of Honor, a new group in wrestling, TBE, Tully Blanchard Enterprises. I was
They
kind of
are my highlights from the show. Is I mean, I enjoyed the Swerve Strickland and Alex Zayne match, and then I enjoyed the pure. I know I talk shit a lot on this channel about Willie or Yuta, but he had a really good match for the Pure Championship. But I
it's
still
because
don't like the guy. I still don't like the guy. I can't. I feel like I can't make the money. He looks like a kid playing wrestler. I don't know. It just the beard looks fake. I like the match a lot though, but everything about him just makes me like ew. And then the
so
main event of Gresham and Bandito was really good, with Chavo Guerrero being thrown out by him. He came out with Bandito, and Bandito throws Chavo Guerrero out, which made me laugh. Like, how can you interfere in my match?
he tossed the belt in the middle of the match so that way Bandito could use the belt, but that's not how Bandito wanted to do. And then Chavo was even mad too. He's like, "What? You had the match? You had the match?" He's like, "No." And what made it funny to me was that Bandito even told the referee, he was like, "Look, kick his ass out of here. Get him out of here. Like, you brought him here. How you kick him out? You brought him here. Like, what's wrong with you?"
Same thing. He got fired by Bandito the same way he got fired by Andrade on AEW. I didn't ask you to cheat.
But Chavo is not a good manager.
Yeah, that's what he does. He cheats. And it ended up costing Bandito the match, and Gresham became the new undisputed Ring of Honor champion, to only be confronted by now heel Jay Lethal, who turned heel earlier in the show.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking. Like the Lee Moriarty match with Jay Lethal, basically they had a banger until he low blowed him, and then he won in the way that he won, which set this up at the end, which was crazy.
It was a nice setup in storytelling because I thought, oh, this is going to be a slow burn when he originally turned on Lee Moriarty and hit him in the nuts and everything, and then teed off on him at the end of the match.
He even beat up he beat up Evan Bourne, Matt Sydal.
The crippled Matt Sydal
with crutches.
He went hard. He went hard at the end of that match. And I thought it was going to be like a slow turn when he first did. It was like, damn, I'm ashamed of myself, but I got to get these wins. I've been losing on Dynamite. So I had that. I was like, oh, this is going to be a slow build. But he went full, I'm going to be heel Jay Lethal again, which is my favorite Jay Lethal. I hate when he was a face. I feel like
he's a much better Jay Lethal with the braids.
So much better of a heel as a heel. And then he turned, and I was like, yeah. And so we fast forward to the end of the show, and he's just challenging Gresham, and Gresham's like, nah, man, you got no honor, so you don't become number one contender. And then he just starts heel on there. Sanjay comes out, and then they jump him, which leads into the return of Samoa Joe, which
I popped. I fucking popped. I popped because of the relationship that Ring of Honor now has with AEW, being that AEW's Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor and everything like that. So the potential rematchups that they could have, the rematches like Samoa Joe versus like Punk, Samoa Joe versus Cole, Samoa Joe versus anybody really. Like,
it'd be it's a lot of nostalgia with Samoa Joe. He was that era, like the guys who are just coming into AEW right now, your Danielsons and Punks and whatnot. Samoa Joe fits right in that category, and we can redo some of those matches, and they're going to probably even be better because they're smarter now. They were young back in those days, and now that they have more knowledge, it should be exciting matches. And
10 times better.
Yeah. My fear of this show was, and it was like, oh man, it's just going to be AEW Fuse, which it turned out AEW pretty much won all the Ring of Honor titles or whoever's under contract or whatever the case may be. But the show ends with Tune In Wednesday to Dynamite, which is kind of just like a little jarring. Like, I want this to be kind of self-contained. I want this to be Ring of Honor. It's like, tune in, Samoa Joe fights. I forgot who he's fighting this week. They announced it. He's having Max Caster. I'm going like,
that's gonna be my god, that's gonna be entertaining. I want to see what Max Caster has to say about this.
I know, but my issue, I'm okay with Max Caster and his raps, but I'm not. I feel like they have 780 wrestlers on their card in Dynamite. Everybody's all elite at this point. Everybody.
Everybody's trying to be all elite.
Yeah, but everybody fights Max Caster when they come in. And I was like, just make Joe feel special. You don't have to have a match against Caster right away. Build it up to something. I want to see him fight everybody else but Caster. Because
they really should have played it to make it like, Joe versus Lee, or like Joe versus like Joe versus Hobbs, or Joe versus like somebody big, somebody like massive, somebody big. Somebody from Bear Country, probably, or something. Give them some TV time. They haven't had
Fight Trent. Fight Trent. Trent and the Best Friends ain't doing nothing. Fight Trent. I feel like that'd be a good match. It's someone with good size. He's athletic. They can do something. But I don't want to talk too much about that. This is everything else other than AEW stuff. It's hard to say that when Ring of Honor is, when you think about Ring of Honor, and it's like, this is now Tony Khan territory. So I want to talk about my favorite thing in the night. I call it the best match. It was like this 40-minute tag match. The Briscoes, FTR, kind of a dream matchup, feuding on Twitter back and forth. Two of the best tag teams today. If not, the Briscoes are probably my favorite tag team in the past like 15, 20 years or whatever it's been. And it delivered. It delivered on all accounts. It was amazing. Back and forth battle. You didn't know who was going to win. And then when FTR won, I was like, damn, they won. And we immediately go into Young Bucks program, which I didn't care about. I was just more happy. Like, that was a great ass match. What are your thoughts?
So again, I was watching all of these promos, not so much the FTR promos, but the boys from Sandy Fork, they were talking a lot of noise. They were talking a lot of noise about a lot of tag teams leading up into that night at Supercard of Honor. And what a lot of people may or may not know is that they had 2 matches that night, like already, they already had it slated. So to have a classic to then later on in the night also not delivering, it's not that they didn't deliver, they lost in their match against the Good Brothers and stuff like that. It kind of fell flat for me, but they did have a classic with FTR,
yeah. It'd be hard to do back to back. This ain't the 80s where Ric Flair fight 3 matches in a night and then be like, yeah, I got to go to Oklahoma and do another match in the morning. Like, no, this is these are more intense matches, and that they tried to even do all this. I wouldn't fault them and saying like, yeah, later in the night they had another match. It wasn't the best, but you saw what they did earlier in this match.
No, the match of that night, the match of Friday night, like whether you go all across the board, it was FTR versus the Briscoes for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship, which FTR ended up winning. I was actually scared for, I believe it was it Dax? He got suplexed on the outside, and I thought he had a concussion. I was like, oh, my boy's concussed.
Yeah, okay. that made me go, ooh, right away when he suplexed, he fell down, and then he didn't get up for a minute, and I was like, oh no. Because the match was probably, what, 15, 20 minutes in or something?
It was like 20 something minutes. And
you're like, oh man, they're probably just going to go to the fifth. But then he popped up and they got, another 20 more minutes. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, that's a tough mofo right there, man. I thought he was legit concussed. And then obviously, they really beat the heck out of each other in this match. Yeah. Like off the rip. Like as soon as them boys came out, it was on and popping.
It was physical. It was just like pop, pop, pop. It was like hitting back and forth, real heat. And what I liked the most about this, it seemed like both teams were trying to win, which I love in a match. It just seemed like they were going at each other. It wasn't any like special high spots just to do it or anything flashy. It was just 4 people fighting, trying to win a match.
They wrestled a typical FTR match, not a typical Briscoe match. They wrestled the FTR match. Now that I said that, out of all of FTR matches, even when they were back in the E and stuff like that, how does this measure up to any of those matches? Or what match would you say that FTR had before that matched up to this match right here? And one that I think off the rip would be against DIY. One of the DIY matches that they had. That's the one that comes off the head. But what about you?
I have the DIY matches being better because it was so unsuspected of how good FTR was, the Revival at the time. You were like, man, they're really good. Because that's when you first get oh, they're all right. And then you get the DIY match. You're like, man, they're really good. Or you would think it's chopping in and they do it again. So I have that just slightly above just because of the unexpectedness or my expectations. But this match is just right there, as in like a follow-up match. And then if the Young Bucks match with FTR and AEW was shorter, I think that one went too long and it seemed like they got tired out. That would be there too. But if that one was shorter, that would be a close second to third in there. So that's where I would put that. All right. So we've covered all of this. Let's cover in the remaining minutes. What is your future for Ring of Honor? Because Tony wants to do a weekly show, but all his guys have the belts. Was this a death knell? Was this a finishing move? Or how do you see Ring of Honor in the next, few months?
All right. So you see how AEW was the Forbidden Door company. Like, like they used AEW as let's bring this guy in from this company and this company. They're going to legit use Ring of Honor as that Forbidden Door. That's what I think. Because their champions are mixed with every other company other than WWE, of course. But Suzuki just won the television title, I think it was. So that's in New Japan. He's the champion over there. As you stated earlier, Wheeler Yuta just won the Pure title, which is one of the best titles in pro wrestling at this moment in time. And that just opens the door for other people from other promotions to come everywhere. Even though Mercedes Martinez ended up beating Willow for the interim women's championship, we all know the real women's champion is Deonna Purrazzo by default, due to Roxy joining NXT and whatever have you not. But Deonna Purrazzo is an Impact wrestler with the Ring of Honor title, so that comes into play too. So this is about to be the Forbidden Door company. If you want to wrestle anybody that you want to wrestle, go to Ring of Honor and call them out, and then wrestle on Ring of Honor, and that's how Ring of Honor should make their money.
Yeah, it is insane how, like, this quote Jada Pinkett Smith, this is an entanglement of entanglements in the wrestling world about where these titles are and who's wrestling where and how you follow up with that and Dynamite and national TV. What I don't want to see, and I agree with you, I like the concept of Ring of Honor just being that Forbidden Door and everybody just come in. That's how they make their money back. But what I don't want to see is all these Ring of Honor champions on AEW. And it's just, it'd be somebody, and just treat them as the pure champion and this and that. And they're all being just defended on Dynamite week in and week out. I don't want to see that. I want it to still be separate. I want it to all be separate still. Like, I don't want to see Gresham fighting like Bryan Danielson and Bryan Danielson beating him on Dynamite. And he's like, I don't want to see all that like mixture.
The mixture should not happen on AEW. The mixture should happen in Ring of Honor. If Bryan Danielson, as at this moment in time of his career, as he is, faces Jonathan Gresham, I would rather see it on a Ring of Honor show, like a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, like, Honor No More, or something along those lines, like, Final Battle, something of that nature.
Anything with honor in there. Any way you can fit a word with honor there.
and then have that on a Ring of Honor card, not an AEW card. Even though it's the same match, it's not the same product. Yeah. I don't want them to have an AEW match. I want to have them Ring of Honor match. And then even still, you have like, guys like Jon Moxley and Adam Cole and, people who was in Ring of Honor. Let them bring that star power that they have from AEW, WWE, wherever they also was, and then bring it back to Ring of Honor to face the new faces of Honor. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, get that build up going.
Like at the end of the show, like they alluded to, we had 3 generations of Ring of Honor champions in there with Lethal, Joe, and Gresham all in the ring at the same time. I would love to see that as a Ring of Honor match. And if you want to even add a 4th, it would be nice as well. Levi said, I think Ring of Honor is going to be a marketing chip for Tony getting on HBO match. If they can move Ring of Honor and also be AEW pay-per-view, it'd be great. It'd be great. It'd be great to have easy access to Ring of Honor because Sinclair, I don't know if they still have the TV rights now that they're done with Sinclair.
No. So with the Sinclair Broadcasting Company, I tried to even, before Ring of Honor's demise in Sinclair Broadcasting Company, I tried to apply for a job there so that way I could work with Ring of Honor. Totally failed. But then they folded, so then it's like, oh, well, there goes my thing. But so Sinclair Broadcasting Company gave everything over to Tony Khan. So Tony Khan, whatever he decides to do, is going to be the way that Ring of Honor is going to succeed, whether it be premium live event buys or if they put them on a streaming service such as HBO or Hulu or Netflix or something along those lines. Or even because I still have the Ring of Honor streaming service, I still pay for that. So that's still going on there. They already have a thing with Fight TV. And since Fight TV is with a bunch of wrestling companies anyway, so they could incorporate that into having Ring of Honor backlog, whatever not. Impact does something similar. They probably need a YouTube deal. So we'll see. It's just a wait and see thing at this moment in time.
All right. So with the final 30 seconds coming up, do you have this show being better than anything that happened on Mania weekend?
Definitely better than night 2.
I got it better. I got it. It's hard for me to make it better than night 2. I enjoyed the Briscoe matches probably the most, but the spectacle of WrestleMania for me, just personally, has it beat just because the Austin McMahon, just the spectacle of it all. I would say it was a good runner up tonight. I may give it better than night 2. I don't know. I'm still in the middle. I go back and forth. Both great shows. But that is it of this show. Hope you guys enjoyed the everything else. We're going to be back again probably next week with more probably obscure wrestling that you probably have never heard of. But this is a good way, it's a gateway drug to figure out how to get into it. Because as Jemal brought up, Cinderella tournament and Stardom is starting up. And there's so much more going on out there. Jemal,
Yeah,
how
the
can they
best
find
of
you again? Go ahead.
best of the Super Juniors, if you're not paying attention to New Japan, is going on too. So got to peep that out. New Japan World.
All right, Jemal, how can they find you again?
You can find me on Three Faces of Jamal. Just search Three Faces of Jamal, number 3 Faces of Jamal. You can find me on SoundCloud. You can find me on Facebook. I'm also doing Mid Card Mess podcast. So go peep those shows out. I did cover all of the WrestleManias except for 38 counts because of the last podcast that I just did. So yeah, all 38 of them covered.
Nice. And you can just find me here and random podcasts here and there. Thank everybody in the chat. Sorry we didn't get to you guys and comment on it like we usually do, but we're on a tight schedule today. Maybe next week when I say we go long, and that may end up being 4 hours. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a good night. See you later, or good afternoon, good day. Bye.